Hello everybody, this is Will Brogan with the 11th edition of Coach's Corner here at Commercial Truck Training. We took a couple of weeks off, but now we are back in full swing. And what I want to talk about today is leadership. It's kind of a personal fun topic for me, having played quarterback all the way through college and many football teams. Leadership was always a very important part of my education going through school and obviously going through athletics. And I want to touch on it not only for that reason, but also because less than 48 hours ago from the time I'm recording this, we just finished our championship coach module recordings. Those will be online in a couple of weeks, but the recordings are actually done. And I wanted to bring a point from Ken that he made throughout everything in those modules here and really kind of tie it together in a short time span, which is perfect for Coach's Corner. So today we're talking about leadership. Now, what I basically want to do is have you envision a process map of a series of steps, but go backwards. Go backwards one at a time to understand where the end point is and obviously where the beginning point is, with everything in between and the critical way to do it to establish leadership in a situation like you may have in your commercial department. So, with the end goal being leadership, understand that there are thousands of definitions of leadership, and I know I've mentioned this before, whether it's in Coach's Corners or some other videos, but one word typically comes up in almost all of those definitions, and that word is influence. So basically, working backwards on the process map, you need to figure out, in order to be a leader, you have to have the ability to influence, whether it's positive or negative, which hopefully you're using it for positive, of course. How do you achieve influence on other people? The way to do that in everything else with commercial as a process, at least the way Ken teaches it, so we're doing it that way, the next step backward in the process is to gain buy-in. Buy-in is a term that you hear all the time in athletic fields, especially when teams are going through training camps, spring training, whatever it may be, preparing for big events, buying into the belief of what the coaches and the leaders of the team are trying to do. It's no different here. You have to gain the buy-in of the subordinates so that the leader's objectives can be achieved. How do you gain buy-in? By getting participation from said subordinates. Think about it. If you give them, the subordinate, the opportunity to invest in the process, invest in how they want things done, how it can work for their schedule, how it can work for their comforts and discomforts, whether they like being on the phone, like being out on outside sales calls, whatever it might be for that particular person, if you can work together to establish a plan to develop success, that's the participation that we're talking about, to then get that person to gain the buy-in. In order to do that, you have to acknowledge their ability to be able to participate in the process to develop all those things. That's the last thing we're going to talk about, is acknowledging their presence and their value and what they bring to the team. So, we've worked backwards, now let's work forward. Acknowledge their presence and their abilities, the good and the bad, the strengths and the weaknesses. From there, ask for their participation in developing a plan to gain buy-in. When you gain buy-in, they are invested in the process, and that allows you to influence them, which ultimately means you can lead the team effectively. There's a process for you for ultimate leadership. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call. You know the numbers and the emails by now. We'll see you next week for another edition of Coach's Corner. Thanks a lot.